Good morning, church. Happy Sunday. It's good to be with you today. And our readings today are difficult across the board. Ezekiel 15 and especially 16 gives us a really harsh picture, a really difficult, almost grotesque picture of Israel as the prostitute. And you just have to read it. I mean, what can we say other than God clearly is displaying how he feels about going after other gods, going after things that are not his will. He explicitly describes what the spiritual adultery looks like and how he feels about it. So we read that with trembling and fear, and it makes us want to turn back to the Lord our God, and there's really no other response that we can give to that kind of reading except repentance. And then we get to Revelation chapter 6, and we enter into the scroll judgments. And now we're entering into the area where there's such a diverse interpretation of things. And I think the interpretations of the first seal judgment give us a hint at just how difficult the book of Revelation is to interpret, and why we need to come into this with an attitude of grace and just seeking how can we understand, how can we keep these words so that we can be blessed by reading, blessed by hearing, blessed by keeping, avoid the curse of adding or subtracting. We just want to understand, but let me give you a hint at how difficult it is. It says, "Then I saw the Lamb open one of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say with a voice like thunder, 'Come.' I looked, and there was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. A crown was given to him. He went out as a conqueror in order to conquer." So who is that? What does that represent? In the little bit of research I did, there was two options so contrasting, they couldn't possibly both be true, and they were totally opposite each other. One interpreter said, well, this is the gospel. The gospel has to go out first as a conqueror, and there's certainly plenty of references where Jesus says the gospel must forcibly advance, that we're going into hostile territory, and Jesus is seen as conquering death. We could certainly see that. The other interpreter said this is the Antichrist, where we see the white horse that represents purity and peace, yet he has a bow revealing his pure intentions, and he's going to go out and try to conquer and deceive the nations. These are both equally sensible interpretations of what we see here. Who is it? Is it the advancement of the gospel and that its rejection leads to the other tribulations, or is it the Antichrist, and he is the first of the sealed judgments that God allows to come? Well, I think that we would be better, and we proceed with some trembling here. I think since we are looking at judgments, and the gospel probably shouldn't be seen as a judgment or something that was a subject to the wrath of God. And we're told that the Antichrist will come, and he kind of leads off these series of events. And we're going to see Jesus come later, and though he too rides a white horse, his description is much more majestic. So since we are reading in the context of judgment, and since Christ himself is introduced later, I don't think we should locate Christ here yet at this point. And I would see that in the judgment, we see the Antichrist leading the charge. The other seals are not that hard to interpret. War, if we go to Matthew chapter 24, we see that, I'm just going to confirm that it's 24. Yes, we go to Matthew chapter 24, and Jesus gives us some things to think about and look for at the end of the age. And that includes everything that we're going to read here over the next several judgments. War is going to come. The black horse, the third seal, famine is going to come. Interesting, it comes upon the necessities, but those superfluous niceties remain. The fourth seal, the pale horse, we have wild animals, sword, famine, and plague. What did we just read in Ezekiel yesterday? Those are God's 4 judgments that he has. So we have another connection point, and these are the ones that he uses throughout history. The fifth seal is a reminder that hard times will come on the Christians. Martyrdom is coming, and I believe part of this fifth seal judgment is the prayers of the saints that are being offered up, saying, God, please come and unleash your judgment quickly, which is the sixth seal, the horrible judgment. Then there's a break, and we'll get to the seventh seal here in a little bit, and then the trumpet, and then the bowl judgment. 3 sets of 7, very symbolic, again, of 7 being a perfect number, a set of 3 also symbolizing perfection. So 3 sets of 7 saying God's judgment is being meted out perfectly. It's perfect judgment that he is distributing upon the earth, and then giving us a glimpse of what we can expect historically in that, what that can look like when the time of judgment comes. Well, let me know what your thoughts are, what your questions. Of course, I'm always eager to wrestle out the truth. As iron sharpens iron, so we can sharpen each other. Pray over this as we're reading through. And again, don't ever think that reading through Revelation is a simple or an easy task. It requires a ton of prayer. If it was simple, there would not be the diverse interpretations that there are. But always remember, it's pointing towards Christ the conqueror, God's perfect judgment, and the hope that is coming. That is what we're reading this book for, not to start fights with other Christians. I love you, church, and we'll talk to you soon again.